Imagine this, it's past midnight, and you're alone in the quiet halls of a boarding school. The air is thick with silence, yet you hear it, steady footsteps in the distance. Koi, koi, koi. They say she appears when the lights flicker, her presence chilling the air. Some claim they've seen her, others swear they've heard her. But no one ever stays long enough to find out. Who is she? Why does her story haunt the minds of so many? Tonight, we unravel the chilling legend of Madam Koi Koi, the boarding house ghost. But beware, some tales are best left untold. Welcome to Afrocentric Tales and Myths, where stories come alive and the mysteries of African folklore are unveiled. I'm Osi, your storyteller for today's spine-chilling tale. Many years ago, there was a boarding school on the edge of a small Nigerian town. During the day, it was full of life, students chatting, running around, and learning in their classrooms. It felt safe and happy, a place where memories were made. But at night, everything changed. The hallways became quiet and dark. The wind would blow through the trees, and strange noises could be heard. Some students whispered about odd things happening when the sun went down. Among the teachers was Madam Koi Koi. She was beautiful, stylish, and strict. She always dressed perfectly, and her red high heels made a clicking sound wherever she walked. Click, click, or, as the students called it, koi, koi. She was respected but also feared. Madam Koi Koi was known for her temper. If you broke a rule, you'd hear about it. Some students liked her elegance, others were scared of her sharp words. Then, something happened, something no one really talks about. Some say she had a fight with the school's headmistress. Others say she was unfairly blamed for something she didn't do. Whatever the truth was, Madam Koi Koi was dismissed and left the school. Her red heels clicked for the last time as she walked away, or so everyone thought. Not long after she left, strange things began to happen. Late at night, students would hear the sound of heels clicking down the empty hallways. Koi, koi, koi. The noise would stop suddenly, leaving an eerie silence. Some saw shadows moving, others felt like someone was watching them. And then, the whispers started. Madam Koi Koi was back. But this time, she wasn't the teacher they knew. She was something else. Something haunting. As the nights grew darker, fear gripped the hearts of the students. The stories of Madam Koi Koi spread like wildfire, whispered from bed to bed, leaving no soul untouched. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind became a sign of her presence. The sound of her heels, koi, 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 grew more vivid in their minds, a sound that sent shivers down their spines. Students began to claim they had seen her. Some spoke of a fleeting glimpse of her red heels disappearing around the corner of a hallway. Others swore they heard her distinct footsteps outside their dormitory doors late at night. Yet, whenever they worked up the courage to peek through the keyhole or crack the door, there was nothing, just silence and the eerie sensation of being watched. The school itself seemed to take on a life of its own. Doors slammed without warning. Lights flickered unpredictably. Shadows seemed to move where no one was. The fear was inescapable, and the once lively boarding school felt like it had become a haunted house after dark. But not everyone believed. A small group of students, braver, or perhaps more foolish than the rest, decided to uncover the truth. It's just a silly story, one of them said. Armed with flashlights and shaky courage, they set out one stormy night to confront the legend of Madam Koi Koi. The first sign of her presence came unexpectedly. As they passed the old staff quarters, a faint clicking sound echoed behind them. Koi, koi, koi. They froze, hearts pounding, flashlights trembling in their hands. Did you hear that? One whispered. The others nodded silently, their faces pale. The sound grew louder, closer, and then, it stopped. When they turned around, there was nothing there. They pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. The group entered an old storage room filled with dust-covered furniture and forgotten relics of the past. The air was heavy, and the silence was unnerving. It was here, amidst the eerie stillness, that they made a startling discovery, a small, worn diary tucked inside a desk drawer. As they flipped through the pages, they uncovered Madame Koi Koi's secrets. Her diary was filled with sorrow and anger, her words revealing a woman who felt betrayed and wronged. The entries painted a picture of a proud teacher whose dismissal had left her heart broken. Her final entry read, "They will hear my steps long after I'm gone." Suddenly, the sound of heels clicking echoed again, this time louder, relentless. Koi, Koi, Koi. The students froze, their flashlights flickering as the room grew colder. A shadow moved across the doorway, and their fear turned to panic. They scrambled to leave, their footsteps echoing through the hallways as the sound of the heels followed them. By the time they reached their dormitory, the footsteps had stopped, but the fear lingered. They had uncovered Madame Koi Koi's pain, but they also realized they had awakened something more, her restless spirit, still bound by anger and sorrow. They had found the truth, but it came with a chilling question they could not ignore: what would it take to lay Madame Koi Koi's spirit to rest? The answer would haunt them as much as the sound of her heels. The students knew that simply running from the truth wouldn't be enough. The discovery of Madame Koi Koi's diary had stirred something deep inside them, a sense of responsibility. They couldn't just let her pain echo forever. But how could they, mere students, ever hope to bring peace to a spirit so tormented by injustice? Desperate for guidance, they turned to the oldest teacher still at the school, one who had witnessed Madame Koi Koi's rise and fall. She had seen the once dignified teacher, beautiful and proud, become consumed by bitterness after her dismissal. With trembling hands, the teacher read through the diary, her face shadowed by sorrow. She whispered to herself, almost as if speaking to the spirit of Madame Koi Koi, "Her soul is trapped here, yearning for justice, recognition. We must honor her memory." The teacher's words hung in the air, heavy with a truth none had ever dared confront. And so, they devised a plan. That very night, as the winds howled and the moon hung heavy in the sky, the students and their teacher gathered in the old assembly hall, a place that had once been filled with Madame Koi Koi's commanding voice. It was here they would perform the ceremony to free her spirit. They lit the candles, one by one, their flames dancing in the dark. The circle of light seemed to push back the shadows, but the air remained heavy, thick with anticipation. On the floor, they carefully placed the items: the worn diary, a pair of red shoes found in the storage room, and a small, old mirror. The teacher explained, these symbols, her diary, her shoes, and the mirror, will guide her spirit to find peace. As they began the ceremony, their voices trembled but remained united. They recited words of apology, of remembrance. Their words filled the room, echoing against the cold walls. The wind outside screamed louder, shaking the windows, and the flames of the candles bent toward something unseen. Then, the sound came, soft at first, a distant echo. Koi, Koi, Koi. It was faint, barely audible, but it grew louder with each passing moment. The students froze, gripping each other's hands in fear. "She's here," one whispered. The sound of the heels grew closer, the air colder. The tension in the room was unbearable. The candles flickered violently, the wind howled louder. The sound of heels, Koi, 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 was deafening now, so close that it seemed to come from right beside them. Then, at the edge of the circle, a shadow appeared. A figure, barely visible in the flickering light, stood silently. It was Madame Koi Koi. Her form was draped in shadows, her face unreadable, but there was something profoundly sorrowful about her presence. Her red heels clicked once more as she stepped closer to the circle. The students' hearts raced, but they held their ground. The teacher stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear. "We honor you, Madam Koi Koi. We ask for your forgiveness, and we promise to remember you. Your pain will not be forgotten. Please, forgive those who wronged you, and find the peace you deserve." For what felt like an eternity, Madam Koi Koi lingered at the edge of the circle. Her eyes, though hidden, seemed to watch them, weighing their sincerity. The sound of her heels reverberated in the room, but gradually, it began to fade. The figure turned slowly, and as she did, her form began to dissolve into the shadows. The candles burned brightly once more. The chill that had gripped the room lifted, and the oppressive weight that had hung over the students disappeared. They had done it. They had given Madam Koi Koi the closure she had sought. Her restless spirit, now at peace, would no longer haunt the halls of the school. But the story didn't end there. The legend of Madam Koi Koi would live on, passed down through generations. Her tale became a warning, a reminder of the weight of unresolved emotions, and the importance of treating others with dignity and respect. And that, dear listeners, is the haunting tale of Madam Koi Koi, a story that lingers in the corridors of memory just as her echoing footsteps linger in the halls of legend.